It's time now for the Pig and the Hen.
Pig and the Hen Show. Pig and the Hen Show.
It's time now for the Pig and the Hen Show.
Pig and the Hen Show. Pig and the Hen Show.
It's time now for the Pig and the Hen.
Pig and the Hen Show. Pig and the Hen Show.
It's time now for the Pig and the Hen Show.
Pig and the Hen Show. Pig and the Hen Show.
Boom Chanka, how's it going everybody? It's the Flying Pig here, joined by Henry Hotspur on the Pig and the Hen Show. Today, Thursday the 16th of Jan, 2020. Hope you're all having a good one. Thanks for joining me, Henry. How are you, my friend?
Very fine. You'll notice it's a Thursday rather than our normal day of the week, which is, of course, the Wednesday. That is my fault. I do apologise. Nothing to do with the pig. It's all on me. I was singing. I was doing karaoke. Is that what they call it out here in Asia? It's called KTV.
KTV?
Do you like a bit of KTV, Pig?
I can't say that I do, to be honest, mate. No. Is that what you've been up to, is it?
Okay. It was a works thing. You know, it was me with several ladies, which was enjoyable. Trouble is, it sounded like a room full of dying cats. Not me included, of course, when I'm opening my mouth with the microphone in front of it, angelic. But, no, the rest of them, dog turd shite.
Fair play, yeah. So we weren't able to make the show work yesterday. We very nearly had to sack this one off too because there was a horrendous thunderstorm over in Guangzhou. So I'm just grateful that we've managed to get on here. Shout out to all you, the Bacon and Egg Brigade, for tuning in today. I want to give a special shout out at the start to all the early birds here. Mark S, Stephen Zevon, Pokes, Sean Collins, Alex Rincon, Fitch 1001, The Saint. Who else is there that I've not mentioned? Alex Rudd, of course, Nick Pendragon, Matt Lewis, Billy T, and everybody else. Thank you very much for being patient and waiting and joining us today on the Pig and the Hen Show. Get in there.
So who's Mark S? Is that Marco Sin or is that someone else?
That's Mark Sin, yeah. That's Mark Sin. He's just.
So you don't even say his full name anymore.
Well,
it's like it's abbreviated. You won't appreciate that, Pig.
I know.
It's Marco Sin, yeah.
I do say Mark Sin sometimes, but that's the thing when I've got Mark S written in front of me because he's changed it to Mark S. You see, for anonymity reasons.
Oh, has he? I think what it is is because it's sin. It's just got negative connotations, hasn't it?
Absolutely. GTA Red Star Gaming with an early super chat here, my friend. Thank you very much. He says there's 99p for pig and 99p for hen and 1p for charity. So just to let everybody know, actually, it's a good super chat there, GTA Red Star. Henry is now officially an employee of the channel.
Oh, I don't like that sound of that.
No, you're an independent contractor, aren't you, mate? Independent contractor, yeah?
That sounds much better. Thank you.
But yeah, obviously up until this point, we haven't ever really made that much apart from a few donations and stuff. Oh, Gungshi in the house here, thanks to him and a lot of the other guys. But yeah, obviously it is picking up a little bit now, and so Henry deserves to get certainly his fair share, which is 50% of the leftover stuff.
Well, this is it. I mean, if I'm not around in, let's say, about 3-4 weeks' time, you'll know why. It's because I'm on strike because I have not been paid. So, basically, I'm trusting Pig to work out, get the maths right, and I will get my cut. And if I don't, then firstly, I'll be off the show. And if I continue not to get my cut, you might not see the pig anymore. So there we go.
Oh, I'm shaking in my little boots, Henry. But no, seriously, thank you for doing the show with me, mate. I know it obviously does take a bit of commitment over there. It's what time is it over there? Like 10 p.m. now, yeah?
Yeah, it's just coming up 10 p.m.
Walking the streets of Guangzhou. So fair play to you, man. You deserve it. But super chat here also early from Gungshi. Gungshi, where were you yesterday, pal? We definitely missed you on the watch along, but I hope you're doing well. He comments, get in there, Pig and Hen. Get in there, Bacon Brigade. Hen, I hope you are drinking something alcoholic tonight.
I'm not, Gungshi. I'm not, unfortunately. I have been dry since the 1st of January. And I'm feeling good. I mean, I love you, Gungshi. Thank you for all your super chats, etc. But, coming off the drink, it's been doing me well. I'll survive longer. If you want the Pig and the Hen to go on decade after decade, it's probably best I don't drink myself silly every night.
Probably. No, you're doing well, Hen, to be fair, mate. I mean, this is a different sort of Henry Hotspur we're getting on the channel these days. This is like a almost a reserved, concise sort of Henry Hotspur. Do you know what I mean? It's night and day. But
Yeah,
obviously
maybe. The
Gungshi
thing is,
prefers the pissed up hen.
thing is, last week I was still kind of, struggling with the addiction, wasn't I? But no, this week I'm over it. I'm back in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So thank you for that, Gungshi. Alex Rudd also getting in there with one early on, says Hen is a mercenary of the channel. A bit harsh, bit harsh. He's actually a yellow.
Sounds like Arsenal. Sounds like half of Arsenal players.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, thank you guys for the early super chats, and thank you for getting involved, everybody. Matt Lewis, shout out to you too. I don't think I've given you a shout out. And everyone else, Gaz Newton, Sam Ingram, top people, thanks for joining us today. I know it's a bit of a random time, so good that we've got a few people in here. So then, let's crack on with the show, Pig in the Head Show, football podcast. Let's discuss the major sort of talking points then. I saw, Henry, yesterday that Spurs have just signed a new player on loan, which is Gedson Fernandes, who was the player that was being linked with United about a week or two ago. He has officially joined Spurs on an 18-month loan with a potential future option to buy. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is official. The club has announced it, so that's the loan. It's gone through. Happy days. But I mean, I don't know if it's breaking news. I'm sure you're on top of this. But the other Fernandes that we were also linked with, in the summer, he's agreed personal terms with Manchester United. So it looks like, fingers crossed for you Red Devils out there, that we're going to be looking at a double Fernandes signing for our clubs there.
Absolutely,
for the Premier League.
Yeah. We weren't sure if it was going to be happening. It was like Fernandes or Fernandon't. We don't actually know. But hopefully, it's Fernandid. Come the end of the window.
Where did you get that from?
Oh, I just made that up on the spot right there, mate.
No, you
I
didn't.
promise you.
No, you
I swear on my life, mate.
Come on.
It's really not that good, Hen. What are you talking about? I just came up on the spot.
No, I thought it was pretty good, to be
fair
fair.
enough. Yeah, Fernandes or Fernandon't. Well, hopefully it's Fernandid. Or Fernandon. But anyway, no, hopefully that does happen.
You're milking that dry cow now a bit much.
United are crying out for that sort of creative midfielder. He does seem like that sort of guy. With Gedson Fernandes going to Spurs there, it only increased the likelihood that Bruno Fernandes would be coming, because obviously Spurs were supposedly also interested in Bruno Fernandes for a long time. But if he's agreed terms with United, that's absolutely amazing. Get him through the door. The potato boy would just pay the money. Everybody wants him. The player wants to come. Sporting want to sell. United want to get him because we desperately need him. So just get it done. That's all there is to it.
I mean, I'm happy with the Fernandeses that we've got in. I think they both suit our team.
Is that the plural for Fernandes, though, or is it Fernandi?
Fernandi. I'm happy with the Fernandi that we have been able to acquire, because, in my opinion, you need someone like Bruno. You need someone that can come in, fill the steps of the previous Bruno you had, Bruno Mars. And but this time actually kind of contribute to your attacking play there at United, because at the moment it's a little bit lackluster with people like Jesse Lingard in there. And thankfully he's been dropped recently. United results seem to have improved. We don't need a player like that. Yes, we're going to lose Eriksen, but Eriksen's not even playing in those attacking roles. Obviously, you got Son, we got Mora, we got Lamela coming back in, we got Lo Celso looking on fire at the moment as well. So we don't need that all-out attacking midfielder. We've got them in abundance. What we need is someone with more versatility, someone that's a box-to-box, young, hungry player, and that is what Gedson is. I think Bruno's more of the finished article. He's going to slot straight into that United team. You're not going to see Gedson straight in there. He's only played a couple of games for Benfica this season, but he's 24, he's young, and I think, the Portuguese connection there, Jose Mourinho, he's not stupid. Well, he has been at times, especially for your club. But, I'm hoping he's done the right thing here. Hoping he's got a good little player in there for us.
Yeah, may well do. I mean, I don't know too much about him, really. He was linked with United a little while ago, probably just to drive the negotiation for the Spurs deal. That's what, clubs and teams and players seem to use United for these days. It's just like a bargaining chip. But I don't know if we were ever really in for him. But either way, that's a decent signing for you, one for the future. Bruno Fernandes, like you say, he is more of the ready-made finished article, creative player, goal scorer from midfield. United just need to get him through the door. I'm sick of this saga continuing, to be fair. It's ridiculous how long it's gone on. Just sign him. We should have signed him at the start of Jan.
Well, it looks like you're going to get him in. But having said that, you've got to be careful. I mean, I read that we were getting Pitek in from AC Milan last week. everything agreed, and then I don't know, we just haven't heard or anything about it. It's obviously just not happened.
Well, I
So,
suppose you do need something like that, don't you, at the moment? Because obviously Harry
ideally,
Kane's injured for the rest of the season, isn't he?
well, this is it. Well, Kane could quite possibly be out until, well, if he comes back in April, I'd be happy at this rate, because it could be April, May, or it could be the whole season. There goes the Euros for England as well without Kane to a certain extent, which would be a massive shame for the player, but there we go. Gedson, I'm happy with that side, and hopefully, he's one for the future. Hopefully he can get an opportunity so that he can be signed long term if he can prove himself with the opportunities that he does get for the rest of the season. We're struggling at the moment in the middle of the park in terms of solidity. When you look at Sissoko injured at the moment, Eric Dyer, is he a centre half? Is he a midfielder? I don't know. Even the commentators don't know. They were talking. This is what frustrated me. I was watching us play Middlesbrough, and the commentator, I can't remember his name, he was saying, for me, Eric Dyer's a centre half. And I listened to that and I was thinking,
it's probably freaking Martin
you might
Keown,
be
mate.
right.
It's probably Martin Keown, isn't it, that tosser?
Probably, maybe. I was thinking you might be right, but it just disgusts me to hear that. Just commentate on the game. You're not a manager, are you? Just some commentator.
Yeah, well, I respect that. We've got to give our opinions, do you know what I mean? But I know what you're saying, fuck them. I just want to shout out a few people again. Stipmeister, thanks for stopping by. He says, hi guys, hope you're having a good day. We are. Thank you very much for joining us. Big D says, Spurs are fooked. Voodoo Chili asks, Pig, is Fernandes better than Pogba? I'd just like to answer that one and say that, only time will tell. He's doing it over in the Portuguese league. Let's see how he can transition to the Premier League. Sometimes it doesn't work out right away for even the top players. It takes a little while to bed in, get used to the football culture, the different speed of the Premier League, etc. So I'm not expecting overnight wonders from him, but it would be nice if he could come in and do a better job than Paul Pogba, yeah. Gungers comments, the hen is on the neighbourhood watching Guangzhou.
Oh, yeah, I'm... At the end of the day, the pennies that trickle in from the Pig and the Hen show, I need to be doing multiple jobs whilst I'm out here. So I'm operating the security for my local area, neighbourhood watch, as you say, on the Pig and the Hen. I've got a poker game on in the corner at the same time on my phone. So, that's how I roll.
Nice one. Mumble Sports 1 comments, anything is better than Pogba because the Fuka don't play. Hey, fair play, he's injured at the moment, and even when he was playing, it's not like you got the best Paul Pogba every single week. So I do think that is a position we absolutely need to strengthen. If we can get 100 million plus for him in the summer, see you later on, Paul.
Injuries have been so frustrating for more for Tottenham, but obviously Pogba not being in is a big problem for us, obviously, and Ndombele out still. He's just been in and out of the side. We've both needed signings for sure. And I think we were complaining, last week was it? About incoming players, but I don't think anyone else has really done anything in the Premier League of note. So if this Fernandes does come to your club, and obviously we've got our Fernandes, we can't complain, can we? Really?
No, absolutely. Just to get the transfer talk and stuff out of the way, then on this show. We were hoping to do a full-length show today, but obviously we have started quite late today. And what time is it over there in China now, Hen?
I don't know, 10-something. I'm okay.
You're okay.
For a while.
Cushy. So get the transfer stuff out of the way. Then Christian Eriksen is potentially, from what I hear, in talks, or his agent or whoever, the club, is in talks with Inter Milan for a move for Christian Eriksen, supposedly.
Well, this is quite right. Well, apparently, the main guy at Inter, he's flown over to London, or he had done. He was speaking to Eriksen's people, obviously speaking to Tottenham, also speaking to Chelsea. Olivier Giroud might be looking at Inter, as far as I'm aware. But also, it looks like PSG are sniffing around Eriksen too. And knowing Levy, knowing Daniel with his Daniel Levers, I love Levy. I think he's a very shrewd, wise man. And he's going to make sure if we do offload Eriksen, when he's only got 6 months left on his contract, he's going to squeeze every penny, and we're talking millions here. And if we can get a good solid 10 million or something for a player that's got 6 months left on his contract, that's not even looking that great. Let's be honest at the moment. It's not like he's setting the world alight by any means. Happy days.
Fair play. He's been a decent player. He's been a very good player for Spurs over the years, actually. He's the type of player that, if for whatever reason this Fernandes deal just fell apart, But I would like to see United go and pay the 25 million for to convince them to sell him to us instead of going abroad. But
25 just for 6 months left on his
yeah,
contract, though. I mean, that would be
but the thing is,
that'd be pretty mad.
No, but you've got to give Spurs some sort of incentive to sell them to a rival in the league. It's like, sure, they'll take 10 million to go to Inter because they're getting rid of him out of the league, you know. But I know he's only got a few months left on his contract, but I don't know. I would think they.
Who takes your free kicks at the moment? Is it Rashford?
We've got a combination of Melters taking our free kicks. Rashford scored, I can remember, 1 free kick this season. Most of them are sort of all over the gaff. Fred takes a bunch of them, hasn't scored one yet. Pogba, when he's fit, he definitely takes some of them. Yeah, I mean, Juan Mata's been in good form recently. He's looked a lot better. Hopefully, he is going to be the free kick taker for us.
We'll talk about that shortly. But certainly with Eriksen, when Eriksen's on form, I will always remember him for being a brilliant set piece player. Not so much the corners, actually. It's a bit of a letdown with the old corners, but the free kicks, absolutely sensational half the time. Really, really good. You could trust him to get it on target most of the time, and half the time he's putting them away and scoring some lovely free kicks as well. So that's the best thing about him. When he plays a good game, he's a great passer of the ball. When the other team have the ball, he's not the greatest tackler. He's not. He's got a bit of ability to him. Good passing. He's not slow, but that's about it with Christian. He's not the greatest player in the world. So it's time for him to go. I think his numbers up.
I've always raised him as like a creative player, and also, like you say, like set pieces, free kicks. He's better than any of the free kick specialists we've got on our team, so that would bring something to it. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes seems to be the man, doesn't he? He's younger. He's more impressive in terms of his stats, but obviously it is in a different league. Christian Eriksen's only 27, though. It's funny how people just write people off. Like if they have a bad few months, he's still a quality player. He's proven that over the last 5-6 years.
I'm not writing him off. What I'm saying is the player wants to go. We've got to let him go.
Yeah.
Of course, if he wanted to stay, if he wanted to be part of the new era at Tottenham, happy days. He's still the best set piece player that we have by far. So of course it's going to be a loss to lose him, whatever happens. But it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Hey, yo, shout out to everybody tuning in. Do us a favour if you are in here. Smash a cheeky little like on this video. Help us out with the algorithm or whatnot by sticking a thumbs up on it. Gungshi sent in a dancing cat with a super chat, so thank you for that, Gungshi. Top man. The Saint comments, Paul, that is Tottenham price, Inter offered 8. So maybe they're just trying to lowball Spurs for the Christian Eriksen signing there. Paul Mather.
Well, this is what I mean. This is what, if we can squeeze 10, if we can play off Inter and PSG and get 10 or something, then that's what I'd be looking at.
I would want more than that, to be fair, even with 6 months left on his contract. But fair enough. Paul Mather says, heard it's 20 million to Inter for Eriksen, but who really knows? Billy T rates him, says Eriksen is quality. I mean, if the Bruno Fernandes deal falls down for whatever reason, you've got to take Eriksen pretty seriously. But there you go.
I think for 6 months, no club's going to come in for silly money. Maybe Manchester United, but we wouldn't want to sell him to them. You're right. We'd have to have an incentive because end of the day, he could just sit there for 6 months and then he can go anywhere. So no club's going to spend silly money. If we could squeeze out 10 million, I'd take it.
Yeah, and if he's going abroad as well, it just gets him out of sight, out of mind, Voodoo Chili with a good question here says, what does the pig think about the at-risk status in the rich club money table? United are third and dropping. I saw that, my friend, and I must say it just goes to show you the ownership and the management of the Glazers and Woodward. That's what's going on. We're no longer the most commercially successful club in the world. We've fallen behind.
Concerning.
I think it's Barcelona and Real Madrid are the 2 teams that are above us. I mean, 2 big, great teams, of course, with huge commercial draw. But it just goes to show United are just not quite up there. We're not getting the prize money anymore. We used to get a fair amount of prize money. I know that's only a small percentage, but probably the fan support and merchandising and all that stuff has dwindled a little bit. I'd hope it would anyway, because we shouldn't be supporting these Glazers and
massively. Because bottom line, you're just not, you're not a top club anymore. You're struggling to make top 4. Real Madrid and Barcelona are year in, year out, right at the top. And I know it's easy for them. I know that their league is a cakewalk for them in comparison. But bottom line, their squads, everything is just, at 2 levels up, if not just the 1.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you what a great job the previous regime had done with United. The fact we're even still third in the table after years and years of mediocrity and no success at all. So just the fact that we can compete with those, just the fact we can compete with those clubs in terms of commercialism and bringing the money in it is quite impressive in itself. But it's still very annoying that we're dropping down. It's very annoying the leadership that has been displayed by our owners and the direction they've taken the club in. I expect us to keep dropping. Sooner or later we'll be, about as successful commercially as bloody Everton or something. That's what will happen with our owners in charge because they don't fully invest back in the side. Alex Rincon.
I'll tell you what. On that subject, certainly Spurs will be on the up, I'd imagine. Brand new stadium, if not arguably the best stadium in the world because it's so new. It's a beautiful looking stadium. We've got Jose Mourinho in. I mean, I don't care how much we're paying him. Just having him around definitely causes a buzz. So, I hopefully, Daniel Levers again. It's all good for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I respect that. I mean, United's stadium and the facilities definitely could do with an upgrade as well. I mean, they're just not running the club well. What can you say? They're milking the club. Rincon comments and says, to be fair, between Barcelona, United and Madrid, it's close. The difference is like less than 100 million. We're still massive, much more massive than Henry's team will ever be.
Oh, that was unnecessary.
Oh, that's a low blow.
Nobody asked for that at the end, did they? Who's that? Alex Rincon?
That was the Rinconator, yeah.
Yeah, do one, yeah? Just because your band came out with a good song doesn't mean you can say whatever you want, yeah?
Shout out to the Rincon's band, by the way. Check them out on all platforms. They're called On Better Terms. You may well like it, so give it a listen. But thank you for your comment there, Rincon.
Yeah.
A bit of a low blow there, as Gunchi says.
Right now, are we, Rincon?
Poax comments, Old Trafford looks older every time I go up there. Yeah, I mean, you can just see it. Apparently, there's stuff going around social media of the roof leaking, the lights, nobody's paid the bloody electricity bill or something. The lights are off. It's a calamity. It really is.
It's the ring. It's the ring. You know what I mean? Solskjaer's just there with, it's my precious, sapping the energy out of the place.
Crikey, mate. Anyway, what's going on in the world of Hen then, mate? What did you want to talk about next? We haven't obviously planned anything for this show. We barely ever do. But what do you want to do now? What do you want to talk about now?
Well, we need to talk about the FA Cup, don't we? We're both through. So we had to have a replay against Middlesbrough. We leaked a goal again. I mean, it was, in fairness, very, very pleased with the 2 goals. Lo Celso, Lamela stepping up. Lamela's been out for a long time. Looks like he's back to fitness now. I think he's a great player. I'd be happy to see him starting games.
Great player's a little bit too far, I reckon, but fair play.
I think he's pretty damn good.
Isn't his name pronounced Lamela?
I don't know.
He's pretty lame, mate.
Lamela. No, not at all. Are you going to let me speak, or are you just going to,
All right, crack on.
I think you're being childish, pig. Childish. We'll call you Piglet. Yeah.
Crack on then. So, I prefer Micro Pig.
What was I saying? I mean, Micro Pig. Yeah. No, Lamela. When he's played, if you look at his stats, he's a pretty decent player. And right when Kane's out and we need players stepping up. Yeah, he scored a decent goal the other day. And also very happy with Lo Celso. Looks like he's managed to settle in. He's even against Liverpool, he was shining out. I haven't even spoken about that game. Yes, we lost. Every other team has, apart from Manchester United for that one game. I understand that. But we played well in that second half against Liverpool. In fact, I don't think I've seen any other team play better against Liverpool in the second half. And we just didn't score. We every time we had an opportunity, we made it. But it was good. It looked decent. We're letting in a goal every game. This is the problem. This is what we're going to have to look at. But we're through to the next round of the FA Cup. It was great to see Jonathan Woodgate, Robbie Keane come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Love those guys. But, of course, happy that Middlesbrough are out. Tottenham progress. And next up, we've got Southampton, which is a bit of a tough fixture. Away to Southampton. Southampton are looking very good at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? They progressed in the cup there, same as United last night. Managed to get the job done against Wolves, the first time we beat Wolves in a very, very long time. Another
very, very strong side this season. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Wolves. Yeah. I mean, let's just remember who they are. They're Wolves. and they barely lose. And if they lose like they did last night. They'll lose by 1 goal.
Yeah.
They're a solid team. They set up. They know exactly what they're doing. They set up well. They've got a goal scorer in Jimenez.
Yeah.
I like Wolves a lot this season.
They have got some very good players. Traore stands out. Ruben Neves stands out. They've got a very good team. Yeah, it's always difficult to beat Wolves, and that is why we haven't beaten them for such a long time.
Well, it's a good result for you. It's a good result for you. So it's a positive show today. We both come off the back of a couple of wins, and I think yours against Wolves, the one to kind of appreciate, and United results have been good of recent.
Yeah, and with obviously Wolves knocking them out the cup, we're through to the next round. We've got Watford coming up in the next round, the FA Cup 4th round. Difficult game. They smashed us 2-0 the other week, didn't they? So, I mean, it's not
another tricky one. Watford, it's like a Southampton. You've got these two teams that were, Watford was right at the bottom, and Southampton were not looking pretty at all. I think they are in relegation, and now I think Watford is still kind of down there, but they've just been winning every game since they got Nigel Pearson in, who's a brilliant manager, who's a candidate for my
your nutbag of note.
Nutbag of note. You'll have to find out if he is or not. But yeah.
Respect, yeah, we'll get onto that in a little bit then. But yeah, what happened was, so United have got Liverpool coming up at the weekend. We're the only club to actually take any points of them this season. I think it's going to be a difficult day for us at the office, to be fair. One thing I just want to talk about briefly is the resurgence of Marcus Rashford, really. But he did pick up an injury last night, which is a nightmare. So he's out. He's probably out of the game against Liverpool. That's a big blow for United. He might not be, but he came off with a bit of an injury to his back. So that's absolutely gutting. I'm really unhappy about that one. Who have Spurs got at the weekend, do you know?
Well, we've got Watford.
Oh, you've got Watford, okay. So a bit of a London derby there.
Exactly. We're away to Watford. And they obviously just destroyed Bournemouth the other day. And as I said, they're looking very strong at the moment. There is no easy games in the Premier League at the moment, bar playing, Norwich, really. I'd say, really, you should be beating Norwich. But any other team on their day are pretty good. To be honest, I can't remember a more competitive Premier League for a long time. You usually have a couple of awful teams. I mean, you remember Huddersfield. What was it, last season?
Whipping boys,
so a team that's really just getting battered every week, and with all due respect, that's just how it usually is. But this season, it just doesn't feel like that.
Competitive down the league, I think. Obviously not competitive up the top for Liverpool anyway, because they're running away with it. But everywhere else, you're absolutely right. There's so many teams fighting for those top 4 spots. If you look at the actual congestion that's going on at the bottom of the table, I think Bournemouth are in 19th place, and there's just a few points separating, the bottom 10 teams in the league there. So really a win at this stage can change absolutely everything in the table. It's so tight and so close down there. We'll see.
This is it.
I
think money. I mean, there used to be this talk of there's too much money in the top teams in the Premier League, and of course that's still true. But I also think there seems to be more money spread across the Premier League and the Championship these days. And the reason for that being is you get so many clubs that come up, stay up for a couple of years or a year, go down, they get their parachute payments. And, for the last 15 years or so, obviously you've got these teams coming up, going down. This is from my recollection of teams when I started really following football. And if you look at the Championship, there's so many teams there where you think, well, yeah, to be fair, they're pretty good. They've still got this player or that player, or and they're competitive. It's not the same Championship. And even Jose said this: it's not the same Championship that Mourinho was looking at when he arrived at Chelsea in 2004. It's football in England at the moment is brilliant.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with Leeds United's performance against Arsenal the other week, actually, when they played them, and they really gave them a good game, and they played some good stuff. So I completely hear you, mate. Championship football's definitely coming a long way. Speaking of money, Henry, just to change the topic a little bit, did you watch the UFC press conference for McGregor versus Cowboy last night?
I didn't. I mean, to be honest, I know you like your UFC more than I do. Of course, I know who McGregor is. Who's Cowboy? Who's that? What sort of name is that?
Well, it's his nickname.
Surely McGregor's the Cowboy, isn't he?
Well, his name's Donald Cerrone, but his nickname's Donald Cowboy Cerrone because he's a country dude and he wears a cowboy hat, mate. So that's...
I thought McGregor was retired.
Well, McGregor came back. He's having a fight against Cerrone in a couple of days' time. The reason I wanted to talk about it just briefly is because, I mean, Cerrone, just so you know, he's got the most wins in UFC history ever. So I'm quite surprised you've never actually heard of that guy because he's been around for years.
I don't
fighting.
have time for UFC. I'll be honest. I prefer the boxing.
Yeah, fair play. We're Tyson, Fury, and Wilder coming up soon. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because, you know, it was a shit press conference, mate. Like I've come to expect Conor McGregor just to go in there and just completely rip it up and come out of all sorts of obscene comments and remarks and just put on a good show. But it was just too nice. It was like they were best buddies out there. It was like in Step Brothers where they're like, did we just become best friends? Do you know what I mean? Like they were literally like almost hugging each other. It was piss poor. But obviously Cerrone's a nice guy. There's not really much you can get at him for, but it was just out of press. As far as press conferences go for the UFC, it was the most mundane, boring thing I've ever seen.
Right, it was obviously interesting enough for us to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, Big D with a comment here. He says Conor is a lot more humble this time. I think he's got to be humble in a way. I mean, he's coming off a loss to Khabib. He's coming off of some really serious allegations about sexual assault and babies and punching old men in bars in the face. And he's also coming off of, the fact that, let's be honest now, Cerrone's a very likeable, very well-loved, liked character. If he goes and attacks him, you know, it just makes him look like even more of a dickhead at this stage when he's got to win brownie points back, not lose them. So, yeah, a lot of people like me, like Henry probably, or casuals around the world, whatever, they sort of lost a lot of respect for Conor McGregor with a lot of his actions out of the octagon over the years. So he's got to try and claw some of that back, to be fair. But, of course, I'm going to be watching it. Of course, I'm very excited for the fight. But it was just too nicey-nicey as well. Absolutely way too nicey-nicey, I thought. Sickening.
Well, fair enough. Well, it's PR.
It's a shame you don't watch more UFC, mate, because I'd love to get into some MMA on this show a little bit more, but, you know, just hit a brick wall with you there, mate.
Well, you know, what can I say? I mean, if we got anyone out there listening that loves their UFC, wants to start up a new show with the pig,
there you go.
Just dedicated to UFC, it sounded very Joe Rogan of you. But, you know, if that's your cup of tea, be my guest, because, you know, it's not for me. Half the trouble is with UFC, most of it is just two men on the floor, pretty much half naked, and they're just kind of hugging each other, and it's just not my thing.
You obviously haven't watched a lot of it, mate, to be fair. That's a common misconception that true novices say. No, in all honesty, a lot of the time you're right, but there's a lot of skill and technique involved. There's a lot of skill and technique involved on the ground, and sometimes, yeah, of course, everybody wants to see a good stand-up slob and knock a fight, and it is boring, especially for the casual fan or somebody that doesn't know what's going on the ground there, to watch all of those movements and stuff on the ground. It can get boring, which is always why fighters like Cerrone, like McGregor, are always going to be more popular to watch in terms of style than wrestlers, because wrestlers generally, they just take you down and hug you, and yeah, it is kind of boring. So I see what you're saying there, mate. But no, well, you messaged me the other day, like about who was it, Wang Zhili or whatever her name is, the UFC Chinese champion. Like, China's got a women's champion, yay!
Well, yeah, I mean, well, what can I say? I mean, you know, I was pleased to see, you know, an Asian competitor doing very well. I mean, she just absolutely destroyed someone in, what was it, less than 17 seconds? I can't remember now. You know, I don't follow it severely, but it's just good, because obviously people have spoken about Bruce Lee for years, you know, as a martial artist, and I mean, obviously with UFC, it's supposed to be for people that can just do anything, and you'd like to think someone like Bruce Lee would do well in that situation. That's what we'd like to think. So it's just good. It's good to see, you know, a pure Asian fighter.
Yeah, well, it's the first Chinese champion ever, so that is pretty remarkable achievement, to be fair to her, and she is a beast, and she did very well in that fight. Yeah, I mean, in regards to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee at the time, you know, if you went back in the day, he was quite advanced in the way that he went about it. He obviously took different aspects of different martial arts, and a lot of people refer to Bruce Lee as like the godfather of mixed martial arts. He's doing films with Chuck Norris and stuff, doing arm bars and shit on the floor, and all sorts, you know, not just kicking techniques and all this stuff, all sorts of different martial arts. So what did he say? Take what's useful, discard what's not. So he was probably considered the godfather of mixed martial arts, but in reality, any modern day MMA fighter would just probably, you never know, but probably absolutely ruined Bruce Lee. But if he was allowed the time and the technique and obviously the history and the culture, it's like when people compare footballers together and they say, oh, Ronaldo is way better than Pele. Brazilian Ronaldo is way better than Brazilian Pele. It's like, okay, well, maybe by modern standards, because obviously he's had the previous generations to learn from and watch from and be coached from. But Pele's an innovator. If Pele grew up now in Santos or wherever in Brazil and had the same football culture that is around today, he'd still go on and be that awesome player, even better than he was back then, because he's got all of these different techniques to learn. He's got all of these people to learn from, all the previous stuff that's gone before. So it's the same with Bruce Lee. Maybe people might destroy him by today's standards, but if you went back then, they probably wouldn't. If you allowed Bruce Lee to grow up in this modern era, he's still going to be an absolute bloody nutbag, isn't he?
Well, it's all hard to say, isn't it? Nobody will ever know. But I think what Bruce Lee would struggle with would be the ground game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is so integral. So unless Bruce Lee could come out and just do his thing straight away and be quick enough to not get grounded. But the trouble is, in the ring, it's kind of it's almost designed to almost favour the wrestler to a certain extent, because you've only got a certain amount of space to work with, so you're kind of close quarters whatever happens. I mean, if it was, say, in a car park, it might be a bit different because you got more space. Bruce Lee could just run around, he can outsmart, he can jump on cars, etc. It's just a different ball game. So you've got to remember, in the ring, it favours the rest of wrestling. I do think that.
Quite possibly. I mean,
especially with the softness of the ring as well.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, an octagon is larger than a boxing ring, say, but it's still a limited space. You're absolutely right there. So, yeah, I mean, I think if he grew up in today's era, if he had the culture of modern MMA and he trained in modern MMA, I think Bruce Lee would be a potential world champion. But you have to remember, he'd be a world champion down there at like the 135-pound division or whatever. He's a very small man.
Exactly.
So there you go. But anyway, love Bruce Lee, by the way, one of my absolute all-time icons. There you go, Cerrone versus McGregor. Saturday night, is it? I'll probably be doing something on the YouTube channel for that one, so keep a lookout for that. May do a watch along for the McGregor-Cerrone fight. Massive shout out here to Gungshi. Gungshi's just sent in a monstrous super chat. Thank you very much, Gunga's here. 1500 NT. Bloody baller over there. Anyway, thanks, Gungas. He comments, Happy Lunar New Year. I just thought I'd actually announce the amount so Henry knows. Happy Lunar New Year to the pig and the hen and everyone in the Bacon Brigade. Pig, enjoy the last week of the year of the pig. Year of the rat starts on the 25th. Let's hope it is much better than this year, than this last year has been.
Thank you so much. I mean, I think Gunshi understands the culture. Obviously, if he's out in Taiwan, isn't it? Obviously, you got the red packet culture. So when it's coming up to the Chinese New Year, then it is tradition culture to kind of hand out red packets to loved ones.
What's a red packet,
family,
my friend?
To employers. A red packet is basically an envelope, and inside the envelope there's money. Okay. But obviously, in today's digital world, people send each other money through social media, etc., to welcome in the new year. So thank you so much, Gunshi, for your best wishes for the upcoming year of the rat. And we're just coming out of the year of the pig.
Year of the pig.
Believe it or not. So say goodbye to your year, pig, even though it's not actually
we're going into your year.
It's not actually your year, is it? It's not actually your
my
year.
But now, so we're going from my year into your year.
I'm not actually a hen. I'm not a hen and you're not a pig. Do you know what you are? Because we're the same. We're born the same year as far as the Chinese calendar is concerned. You know what it is, don't you?
What?
Oh, do you not know?
Go on.
Do you not know? I thought you
No,
did.
I don't know, mate. Tell me what it is.
We're both rabbits.
Both rabbits. Ah.
We are indeed.
Fair play. Well, that's shit, isn't it? I'd rather be a pig than a rabbit, to be fair, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'd rather fuck like a rabbit.
It's the first thing that comes into your head, isn't it? Crikey. No, fair play to you, mate. Right, all the people, we've triggered a few people in the live chat here about Bruce Lee. I just want to read some of these comments out and then we'll get on to the next section of the show. Gunshi says, Bruce Lee was a true innovator. I fully agree. Sadek says, Bruce Lee was amazing. Piata says, why is the hen always outside in your show? Surely he is homeless there in China. It's just the time we do the show. It's really late there. Hen's got a family with kids and stuff in his apartment. Obviously, if he was to do this show, especially pissed up sometimes, he'd wake the whole freaking household up. So that's really the only reason he does it outside. Is that correct?
That's very true. Yeah, it's just it's too loud. I have to speak loudly for the show. If I spoke quietly, it wouldn't be a good audio experience, and I just wouldn't be able to express myself because at the end of the day, I've got people there. I just want to I want to be free. I want to speak my mind. I'm sure you will want that too.
Absolutely. Gungshi comments, Bruce Lee would have any modern MMA guy for breakfast. I'm not sure if he's being serious about that. Sam Ingram also says, dear frying pig, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris would have easily beaten modern fighters. So there's a lot of people that hold Bruce Lee and these guys in high regard.
People not happy with you. Well, I didn't really give too much of an opinion because I just don't feel like I know enough, really. But the fact that Pig, you've made your bed, and people are kicking you out of it right now. They're not happy.
Well, I love Bruce Lee. Like I said, if he grew up in that modern culture, he'd be able to compete with the modern guys. But if you took, I don't know, let's say Jose Aldo and put him up against Bruce Lee right now in an octagon, Bruce Lee in his prime, Jose Aldo's probably going to beat the shit out of him just because it's a totally different game. He doesn't have the tech.
But
MMA has evolved ridiculously in the last 10 or 15 years, let alone the last 60 years or 50 years.
You've taken it to the next level. You have not, because before you were saying Bruce Lee might struggle against modern day fighters. Now you have named Aldo versus Bruce Lee in their prime in the octagon tomorrow. Let's get your votes in, lads. Let's see what your opinions on that, and they're probably going to be different to yours.
Yeah, well,
I'm imagining.
That's the thing with opinions. Everybody's got one. They're like arseholes. I just want to say Alex Rincon has commented and said, Pele won the World Cup at 15 and was the top scorer. I think people forget just how great Pele was. Also, he did all that on crap pitches and balls that weighed super heavy. Fouls didn't exist. Rincon, I just want to say this, my friend. I see a lot of hate for Pele going around. Like, Pele's like some sort of Pele's achievements should just be disregarded now. People are always saying that. It's bullshit to me. And, you can call me stupid if you want, but I go on achievements. I go on video footage from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, what I actually saw from the guy back then. And he was an innovator. You talk about Bruce Lee being an innovator in martial arts. Pele was a freaking innovator. Some of the stuff that he did, some of the goals that he scored, he basically started that whole Brazilian flair, skill, ridiculous type dribbling. Him and the likes of people like Jairzinho and, going back in the day. But to me, Pele, he's one first player to score over 1,000 goals. Sure, some of them are in dodgy leagues here and there and against all sorts of teams and exhibition or whatever. But the guy was an incredible player. And if he'd grown up in the modern era, he'd still be an incredible player, one of the world's best. To me, if you go back for eras, who's the best player of the era and how they stack up, you can never compare eras to another era. Pele's the best. Pele is the best.
For sure. I mean, I can't disagree with anything you said. And yeah, I mean, Pele runs through the veins of Brazilian players to this day. And, to mention one, and obviously he's no Pele, he's nothing really, but it is Lucas Moura of Tottenham Hotspur. I'm not trying to say fantastic player. He's a good player. He's not a fantastic player, not at the moment. But when I watch Lucas Moura play, I can see that he plays completely differently to any other player. He plays with a Brazilian characteristic all day long. He's a small little guy, but he's fearless. He is absolutely fearless of trying to take on players. So he gets the ball and he just tries to cut through the centre again and again and again, almost to the stage where I'm thinking, to be honest, Lucas, just chill out, pass it. Don't just continuously try to cut through. And he's trying to be a Pele all the time, and I see this time and time again with these Brazilian players, and that's what makes them special and different, I guess.
Fair play. Comedy Channels comments, go easy with Chinese Viagra. I took half a tablet and had a hard-on for 4 days. Had to wear a long overcoat. It was July, baking hot. Not a good look if you're travelling alone trying to make friends. Thanks for sharing.
It's strange. I mean, the thing is, the friends that I've got out here, and I do have some older friends here, and I guess they probably have a bit of a difficult time getting it up at times. I don't know, but all I know is they tend to go over to Thailand to get their Viagra. So I'll ask them, is it because the Chinese stuff's just too obscene, like that little story? I don't know. Interesting one.
GTA Red Star comments, Pele wasn't that great if you do a bit of research on him. That's it. You've triggered me, GTA Red Star. Pele was that great. Like, all you have to do is go back and watch the footage and see the technique of the man. See some of the goals he scored. I'm talking about goals where he's knocking it over people's head and first time volleying it. The first person ever to do these type and score these type of goals.
What they should do is they should get a replica football, because you're saying the footballs were heavier then, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to just before Ronaldo's about to take a free kick, you secretly swap the ball with an old ball, and then he takes the free kick, and then he falls down on the ground holding his toes in pain. that would be an interesting moment, wouldn't it?
I think they should. I think they should do that.
Would that happen?
They should do that, mate. Yeah, I mean, they used to play with heavy, wet balls, and the pitches were absolutely gash. Yeah, it's a totally different time. You've got to respect that. They would do all sorts of stuff with these featherlight balls these days. Sadek comments, look at Maradona pick. Oh, yeah, I know, look, Maradona's right up there as well as one of the best players ever and truly mesmerising. But people seem to regard Maradona as this all-time great and just recently started to write off Pele. And do you know what? When I was growing up in the 90s, the early 90s, Pele was this superhero star. You know, even though he was retired from playing, he was this star still and people held him in the highest regard. I think it's just a generational thing. I think you just discount the stuff that goes before you. And because Pele's back in the 50s and 60s, people just write it off. There's not the footage. There's not all the games to go off and have a look at. But trust me,
well, for me, I mean,
player.
Pele was better with his feet, and Maradona was probably better with his hand.
Yeah. Well, Maradona's definitely better with his nose, mate. Do you know what I mean? Sucking up the old powder. Whereas, who was it that was talking about Chinese Viagra? That's what Pele pushes these days. Do you know what I mean? Have you seen those erectile dysfunction adverts? How much in a hole must he have been to take that contract on? How much must they have paid Pele to be the face of erectile dysfunction, honestly? I mean, there's some things to be the face of, but erectile dysfunction is not really one of them, is it? Next you're going to see like Cristiano Ronaldo like doing like ad campaigns for like syphilis and stuff.
Brilliant.
Okay, now. Right, okay then, should we get on to the next segment of the show then, Hotspur?
Let's do it.
Thanks to everybody tuning in, by the way. Great live chat going on today. Appreciate all of you legends that are in here. Do the pig and the hen a favour. Please smash a cheeky little like on this video if you are tuning in right now. If you're new to the channel, if you just subscribed, then we usually do this show on a Wednesday, but it's going out today because we couldn't make it yesterday. But every Wednesday this show will take place. Okay, so the next.
What I was singing? Do you know what I was singing? Do you know what I go for the karaoke? I mean, I don't pick music that I listen to.
I know what you sang. You sang Natalie Imbruglia Torn.
I didn't. No, it's too difficult. That's a woman's song. That's tricky.
You used to love singing
that. One. Yeah, but I mean, not a karaoke. You know, it's like it's too high. It's a lady's song, or I have to sing an octave lower, and it sounds crap.
Can you give us a rendition now?
No, I'm not doing any singing right now. No. If the price is right, if we get the right sort of super chat in, I'll do anything.
You can't say stuff like that.
Very good. Why can't I? Can I not say stuff like that?
Well, you can, but you're just whoring yourself out on the internet, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's fine. I mean, it's been done before, hasn't it? No, but I tend to go for like a bit of a sap tune. What is it? Enrique Iglesias Hero. Because it's easy. It's easy. It just never goes too high. And you can just sort of belt that one out. What else do I go for? A bit of Ronan Keating, When You Say Nothing at All. Easy song to sing.
All the absolute cheeses.
Lads out there. I know. I don't listen to this music, obviously. But, lads out there, if you're looking for an easy song, to impress the ladies when you're out on one of these silly nights in some Asian KTV bar, wherever it is, those are good ones to go for sure.
Very popular out there, isn't it? Karaoke and all that stuff, yeah?
It's massively, absolutely massively. And if you can learn a little bit of the local language, if you could try and learn a local song, whatever it is, a Chinese song or something, if you're in China, do it, because they love that too. I am happily married. I mean, I'm just giving you some advice out there for you young bachelors.
Respect. So basically, what you're saying is sing Ronan Keating, and you might get some action. That might have been true back in the day, but
doesn't sound right. Let's go on to the next topic.
Right, on to the next segment then.
Pig and hen melter of the moment. The pig and the hen melter of the moment. What a melter!
Here we have it, the melter of the moment. I'm going to go first this week, Henry, because I usually give you the opportunity and then it ends up just completely doing me over. So I'm going to go first, and my melter of the moment is Bournemouth and Eddie Howe. Now, is it a bit harsh to say Bournemouth and Eddie Howe after bringing them up from literally the foot of League Two and cementing them as a Premier League side? Maybe it is, but look, we're talking about melters of the moment right now. And Bournemouth have gone from being safe in the mid-table to being a mid-table sort of established team to being an absolute melt job right now where they're down in 19th in the league and can't seem to buy a win. I think their last 5 league fixtures, they've lost 4 of them, they've drawn 1 of them. They can't seem to get a win or any points from anywhere, really. And it's not looking like that's going to change anytime soon. They're getting battered by the lowest teams in the league. I think Watford beat them. Was it Watford they played the other day and they smashed them 3-0? That's
3-0, yeah.
Yeah, that is terrible.
And
I mean,
that was at the Vitality Stadium as well. So that's Bournemouth at home. I'll just get it out there. My melter at the moment is the same. It is Bournemouth.
Well, I hadn't finished speaking yet, but that's
I
fine.
thought if we could both just share and interject, I mean, could that work? We'll make that work.
We'll make it work.
At the Vitality Stadium, they get smashed 3-0 by Watford. It's really not good. It's 4 losses out of the last 5. That other result was a draw. I know there's injury problems there at the moment, but bottom line, Bournemouth are an established, or should be an established Premier League side. They had a good start to the season. And they've been absolutely off the rails for the last few months now. So it's problem time. It is problem time. Is it sack Eddie Howe time? That might sound harsh. It's not just Eddie Howe, is it? It's the players. But what can Bournemouth do? Do you think a few signings might help them? Do they need to dip in? Do they need to,
Well, I think they have actually been spending reasonable amounts, recently for Bournemouth anyway. But I mean,
is it the injuries? Is it the injuries that are really hindering them?
I don't think it is that. I think they've just gone off the boil. I don't know why. Maybe it's a motivation thing. Who actually knows? But Eddie Howe was doing a great job. But loyalty's one thing, but there's only so long you can go and take a club backwards. And I don't think. Hopefully, this is just a blip for Eddie Howe, to be fair, because I think he is a good manager. And like I say, it's so tight at the bottom of the league table there that 1 or 2 wins can put you right back up there. So it's maybe not panic stations just yet, but it's just like they don't seem to have a win coming from anywhere.
For me, I feel like Eddie, if he's been approached by clubs, I don't think he's made enough effort to actually leave Bournemouth. I think he should have taken another job by now, because he did what he set out to do. He took Bournemouth from the lower echelons and made them into an established Premier League side. And I think he took them to as good as they could get. So for a manager that's actually looking to progress in their career, I mean, what was he planning to do with Bournemouth? Did he really think, with all due respect to Bournemouth, with the finance that they have there, considering they have the lowest capacity stadium, do they not, or the second lowest?
Yeah, it's
I
like
think
12,
it's the lowest.
12,000 seater. Yeah.
It's Bournemouth. We're basically from Bournemouth or from the town next to it. We know Bournemouth, both of us. And at the end of the day, Eddie has been touted with other jobs over the last few seasons, and rightly so. And if the opportunity had come along, I think he probably should have taken it.
Well, you wanted him at Spurs a little while ago, to be fair. So I think there perhaps are opportunities for him, but he stayed loyal to Spurs. I mean, he did go and manage Burnley for a while in the Championship.
To the Cherries.
Yeah, he did go and manage Burnley once in the Championship, didn't he? But he came back, I believe, to Bournemouth because his family didn't get on up there. So maybe he's just more of a simple type of man where he just wants his to live in the town that he knows and loves and have his family there and everyone happy, So maybe he's not looking to go and manage another side. Plus, if you're Eddie Howe, he played for Bournemouth, he's from this area. Like, if you're the manager of Bournemouth and you've got them in the Premier League, that is a pretty amazing job to have, isn't it? He's like a local hero.
Of course
now,
it is.
I've seen some people recently talking on Facebook and stuff like this about Eddie Howe, that maybe it's just the time that Bournemouth should make a change, because if it was any other manager and he didn't have the previous record that Eddie Howe has at Bournemouth, then they'd have been sacked already, which is probably a valid point.
So. Yeah, they'd basically be getting sacked right about now, and that's why we're talking about it. We tend to talk about these managers. I mean, Melter at the moment was Marco Silva for me, and I think that was the week before he lost his job, if not the same week. Might have been 2 weeks before, I can't remember now. But we're pretty spot on, aren't we, Pig, on these melters?
I personally hope that they keep him, though. I do.
He should have gone to a better job, a better job if that better job had come along. But we don't know. Maybe he hasn't had that chance. Maybe his name has been said. Maybe the bookies have had him up there. But the trouble is, at the end of the day, every club that's looked for a new manager, they've always gone for a foreign manager. This is the thing.
I don't get that. Yeah, give an opportunity to one of these homegrown managers who's proven themselves. I mean, what do people like Sean Dyche and Eddie Howe and these guys actually have to do to get a big job in English football?
I know. I mean, Mikel Arteta goes to Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to him. Yeah, I'm sure he's done well with Pep Guardiola. But bottom line, he hasn't managed a club before, and he gets the Arsenal job just because he was shining Pep's boots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Sam Ingram definitely agrees with you. He says, "Dear Flying Pig, Eddie Howe should have taken the West Ham United job instead of a David Moyes and have the backing of David Golden, David Sullivan, and Karen Brady."
Bigger job all day long.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, maybe he should have done. That's the thing for him, for himself, from a personal point of view, from a career progression point of view. Yeah, Bournemouth is, like you say, Henry. They pretty much, if they're finishing 10th in the Premier League, which I think they did last year and maybe the season before, that's about as good as you can ever expect or hope for Bournemouth to do. So there's a very limited ceiling with managing Bournemouth. Whereas managing one of these bigger clubs, when opportunities present themselves, like for instance before Ancelotti went into Everton, or this West Ham one before Moyes gone in there, they are bigger clubs and they do have a higher ceiling. So for Eddie Howe, from a personal manager's point of view, to actually test himself and try and progress as a manager, he should be looking to take these sort of jobs, to be fair.
Well, of course, and the worrying thing for him is if he is sacked next week, then when's the next time we're going to see him? I'll miss him if he goes, but when's the next time we're going to see the guy? Where's the next job round the corner? Is he going to have to take a championship job? Would a Premier League team go for him? I'm not so sure they would.
Oh, I mean, I would go for him if I was a lower sort of Premier League team, because he's built teams, he's done it on a shoestring budget, he's developed youth very well, he's done a lot of things, for proper football management. It's one thing to come in and manage at the top level and just go and buy all these top players and all this stuff and assemble a squad a la Jose or whoever. It's another thing to take a team up from League Two through all the different levels of English football, building and constantly regenerating the team as you go and planning for the future and all this stuff. He's proven himself as a complete club grower. He's grown Bournemouth from a very, very small cherry to a cherry tree, if you like.
but no club would take him this season. For example, Norwich, if they call it quits with the guy that you think has a similar hairstyle to me when I'm wearing it down, they're not just going to go for Eddie, are they? If Eddie's just been sacked, of course they wouldn't.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, that would be weird, though. The club in 20th position sacks their manager and then picks up Eddie Howe, who was 19th with Bournemouth. I don't think the fans would want that. It just wouldn't seem right. It's another club with a manager that's struggling. I mean, if they did do that, you wouldn't have seen it done before.
But the thing is with Eddie Howe and Bournemouth is, this is probably his worst time as manager. Up until now, he's been doing a shit hot job. That's what we have to remember. The last 6 or 7 games may have not gone their way, but up until now, for years, he's been doing a shit hot job. So why wouldn't you want him? It's like the Pochettino thing. Does that mean Pochettino's just a completely useless manager and shouldn't be considered for big jobs? No, it doesn't. Of course he should still be considered for big jobs. Same with Eddie Howe. And if I was Norwich City, I'm telling you now, if they did sack their manager, Eddie Howe was available, I would appoint him straight away. Because even if you do get relegated down to the Championship, he's the sort of guy that can build and plan and get you back up there. I mean, he's proven that with Bournemouth going up, literally being promoted through all of the leagues. But it's easy to say that. I mean, he is having a nightmare, to be fair. The last 5-6 games, it's just not happening for him, is it?
Yeah, well, there we go. Well, I think that wraps up our melter, joint. Is that our first joint melter of the moment?
Quite possibly.
I think our last joint melter of the moment was probably Prince Andrew, wasn't it?
Or maybe it was you.
Sorry,
actually.
Sorry, Eddie, to put you in that sort of bracket, but yeah.
I think you were the actual last joint melter of the moment, weren't you? When we both agreed that you were indeed the melter of the moment.
Oh, so it's Eddie Howe, me, and Prince Andrew. Yeah,
that is a funny mix, doesn't it? Where are you going to hang out, on Epstein Island?
Right. Not funny.
No, it's not that funny, is it? Right, anyway. Okay, let's get on to the next part of the show then. That was our melter of the moment. Do you guys agree? Let us know in the comments section. Buster Cherry comments, Norwich doesn't care about relegation. Delia just wants those parachute payments. There you go. That was what you were talking about earlier, Hen. Parachute payments. Gungshi says, remember when the Hen used to have that Kim Jong-un hairstyle? Now it's so dark I can't even see his hair. Little bit racial there, Gungshi. Do you know what I mean?
Not really.
Not really, but
it's just a hairstyle. What is that? It's racial. You saying that because anyone could have a Kim Jong Un hairstyle.
A Kim Jong Un hairstyle, and you just happen to be a Korean gentleman.
Is Asian? Is it because I is half Korean?
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Is that what makes it racial? So if I said that you had an Aubameyang hairstyle, that'd be fine. But if you were black and I said you had an Aubameyang hairstyle, would that then be racist?
Well, yeah. If I wasn't Gabonese, I think I'd take a little bit of offence to it, my friend. But no, look, he's only joking around. Look, that's not racist at all. Plus, it was actually me and you that said back in the day that you had a Kim Jong hairstyle.
I proudly announced to everyone listening to the show that I was representing a Kim Jong Un.
That's what Gogsy just said. You two used to joke about it! Exclamation mark.
There we go. And then I went for I was attempting a Toby Alderweireld. I believe.
I've got the old Jon Snow on the go at the moment. I don't know if you saw my other vid that I did the other day where I unleashed the hair on the posse. But yeah, I've got the old Jon Snow on the go right now, mate.
I did say that. I mean, for me, that was more of a Chad Kroger, but short.
No, it's definitely... you can't have a... What? It's a Chad Kroger, but short? No, I'm not having that, mate. I'm not having that.
It's like a short Chad Kroger. It's like Chad Kroger, singing... What's that classic song from Nickelback? What's
yours is like a long Steve Austin. Do you know what I mean? It just makes no sense.
No, it makes... I like that. It makes all the sense.
You got the hair of a long Steve Austin. No. What was that thing we were talking about? Oh, this is how you remind me. That was a classic.
That's it. So picture that video, and you've got that hairstyle, but cut short. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'd much rather be compared to Jon Snow than Chad Kroger, to be perfectly honest with you, mate.
No, but the hair colour is more similar to the old
Not
Chad.
at all. Chad Kroger's proper blonde. I'm somewhere in between the Jon Snow and Chad Kroger's
but what I mean is Jon Snow is like au naturel black, whereas yours isn't at all. All you need to do is get them blonde highlights and maybe
but
just
that's never going to happen. I'm never going to have the Chad Kroger's level of blonde, mate. It's not a fair comparison. Maybe like Bon Jovi would be a fair comparison for hair colour wise. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, how did we get onto this?
I don't want to talk about your hair, boring.
Right, let's get on to the next part of the show. Then it's time for the nutbag of note.
Oh my goodness!
Nutbag of note. 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 There it is, nutbag of note. And again, Henry, I'm going to go first on the nutbag of note this week. It's usually you go first, son, and I'm left with sloppy seconds. So today, I'm going first. And do you know what? A bit controversial. I know it's not ideal to choose more than one nutbag of note, but I've gone for sort of two nutbags in a sack of note. In a nutbag sack of note. Do you know what I mean? Sort of two nuts of note, if you like.
That's how a nutbag should be, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our regular nutbag is missing something.
All right, okay, well, I'm sort of turning into some sort of strange being that was born with two nutbags then, okay? But the first nutbag...
Oh, no. It's a nut testicle. It's a nut, isn't it? So you're supposed to have a double in a sack.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Nut sack of note.
Think of it as a nut sack of note, the nutbag of note, but there's actually two bollocks in there with two differentiating points. Here we go.
Which is how it should be.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually, Hen. So the nutbag of note for this week for me, I've got two of them. And do you know what? Sorry to annoy any fans out there who want me to talk about something other than football, but I've gone for two Manchester United players. The first nutbag of note is Marcus Rashford, who unfortunately did pick up a knock last night and maybe out of the Liverpool game and maybe out for a little while, hopefully not. But how much of a great season has Marcus Rashford had? At the start of the season, I was very unsure whether he could get anywhere near 20 goals for United this season. He's already on 14 Premier League goals. He's scored 22 in all competitions. The guy's on bloody fire, man. Or he was on fire before Solskjaer put him on the pitch and he got injured last night. But, I mean, I just want to say massive shout out, massive respect to Marcus Rashford for the way he's developed under Solskjaer over the last year. He's second in the Premier League goal scoring tables behind Jamie Vardy. That's pretty damn good for somebody who's playing out wide and is only a 21-year-old player.
Very true.
The development level that's going to take place over the next few years, I think, is massive. You're already seeing shades of Cristiano Ronaldo in him. And people go, oh, what a stupid thing to say. There's never going to be another Ronaldo. Look at Ronaldo's stats, compare them to Marcus Rashford's stats, compare them to Thierry Henry's stats at the age of 21 after 200 appearances. And Marcus Rashford is better than them. So what does that tell you? I mean, it tells you that he's a good young player who should hopefully progress into one of the best players in the world. Give it 5 years.
Especially being your best player at the moment and playing for well, let's be honest, not the greatest United side of all time. I mean, I don't know how Henry's side was when he was at that age, and I don't know how Ronaldo's side was when he was at that age. But, you know, bottom line, Rashford is Darren Bent in it at the moment, you know, big fish in a small pond.
Darren Bent. Crikey. Whatever happened to Darren Bent, by the way? Like, Darren Bent was the shit at one point. When Sunderland won the Prem, he was scoring like nearly 30 goals a season and stuff. What happened to Darren Bent? Now he's down in the Championship.
He sort of did okay for a little bit. But no, I mean, I think I've seen him on TV, you know. He's still
playing, isn't he? He's still playing the Championship.
But he was just a bit of a one-hit wonder, wasn't he, really? You know, is he still playing? Or he might be. Let us know.
I think he's still playing,
Darren Bent.
He
had a shout at England for a little bit.
Yeah, he did,
I don't think it really happened.
No, Gungers quickly with a comment just says, remember when people used to say Henry looks like Corey Feldman? I just wanted to read that one out. Did we used to say you look like Corey Feldman? I forgot about that one.
I think so, yeah. I don't know.
Fair enough, then.
I have had that, yeah.
Okay, so Marcus Rashford, he's my left testicle of note on this one. And my right bollock of note, it's going to 19-year-old Brandon Williams at left back, who for me has got the man of the match performance.
Another United player. Manchester United related.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
But they are not bags of note.
It's disgusting.
Even if I wasn't...
In the whole world, it's 2 Manchester United players.
But even if I wasn't a United player, in terms of Premier League football, these two would be right up there for nutbags of note, I think. You know, even as a neutral, surely. Because Rashford's second in the goal-scoring charts. He's 21 from a wide position, banged in 14 league goals. You can't argue with that. And Brandon Williams burst onto the scene about 10 games ago, dislodged Luke Shaw from the side.
He's doing well, but Williams should have scored a goal the other day, and he somehow didn't.
Yeah, okay. He's a left back. He ballooned one over the bar, but he's still scored for us recently, and he's assisted, and he's won penalties. And do you know what? Just aside from that, what do you want from a left back? You want a left back to be solid defensively. You also want a left back to be able to bomb forward and get balls and cause dangerous situations for the opposition. And he literally ticks all the boxes there, man. I mean, I don't want to build him up too much because he is still 19 and he is still going to have bad games here and there, I'm sure. But in terms of character, motivation, how he plays, how he goes about it, he's a true United player. And the performances he's put in, he's got man of the match 3 games in a row, mate. He's literally bossing it. He's 19, coming to the side out of necessity, and he is basically just the best left back in the Premier League right now, mate. I'm going to say, he's 19, he's already the best left back in the world. No.
Okay.
Look, obviously he's not. He needs to progress a bit. But I'm telling you now, if I'm Gareth Southgate, I'm taking him to Euro 2020. I know there's plenty of time left between now and the end of the season for him to prove himself. Yeah, he's English. For him to prove himself. At least I hope he's English. Could look like a twat there. I mean, Williams is a Welsh name, isn't it? To be honest.
Well, I was going to say.
No, he's English. Anyway, he's English. So I think we've got a special star there, and I'm feeling so happy about United at the moment with our special young players. You know, Wan-Bissaka, Dan James, Marcus Rashford, Greenwood, Williams. It's like, okay, yeah, we are a few players away from having a full pack of cards, in my opinion. But we're still, some of the cards we got are absolute freaking aces in the pack, my friend. Do you know what I mean? Do you like what I did there? So yeah, I think it's fantastic we got those 2 nutbags of note. That's all I say. Come on, United.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely Mata. Talk about packs of cards. I mean, Mata is king at the moment. I just had a quick shout out to Mata. He's no way my nutbag of note. But if we're going to talk Manchester United players, I mean, I've seen Mata play last few games for you, and he's looked very good. You know, he's really stood out.
Fully agree.
Where's he been? You know, if you can have a Mata like that week in, week out, you know, he needs to be starting every game. He's one of your best players.
Yeah, well, I think he has played himself into that position now where he should be starting again for United now and have a run in the side, because I think that's one of the problems with a lot of our players is just the consistency. Like they keep stopping and starting and being taken out of the team, and it is difficult to play yourself into a good bit of form. Mata's done that now, so yeah, I think Ole Gunnar should reward him and give him a good run in the side now.
We certainly hope so. When it comes to experience, I mean, I can't think of another player that has more Premier League experience than Juan Mata.
For United,
if he could step up at the moment, Did I not say United?
No, I just thought you said Premier League experience in general, but obviously that would not be the case. But for the United, that is probably true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean he's been at Chelsea, isn't he?
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree, but he's still.
That's
he's
what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got a lot of Premier League experience, but obviously he's not been in the Premier League as long as some players. But you're right, he's got a lot of Premier League experience.
No, but at Manchester United, that's what I mean.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Fair play to you. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Right, should we go on to mine then?
Yeah, in one moment, I'm just going to read this comment out from Rincon, who says Brandon Williams is only 19, local lad, and looks already for the first team, already ready for first team football. I'm excited for his future. Fully echo those sentiments, Alex. Thanks for getting in with your comment. Henry Hotspur, then, it's time for your your nutbag of note.
Yeah, well done to Brandon Williams. I have to agree with you guys. It's good to have a young player there. I hope Ryan Sessegnon can shine for Tottenham Hotspur as well. Another young player.
He's a shadow of a player compared to Brando, I tell you.
Oh, that's unnecessary. Come on, just doing another shout out. We don't need to do a direct comparison, you know? Fucking pisses me off when you do that.
Sessegnon, how about Sessegnon? Do you know what I mean?
Don't even get that. Right, my nutbags of note. It's one bag, but it's two testicles again. And I'm gonna go with it because I couldn't decide. So I'll get a shout out to Nigel Pearson, Watford. You know, let's be honest. They sacked their manager. What was it? Best part of a month or so ago, or a month and a half ago. What was it? The Flores. I mean, that's his second stint at Watford. I mean, I think it was harsh when they got rid of Flores the first time around. I thought he was doing okay with Watford, but they made the change. Watford has been notorious for chopping and changing managers. They seem to have a new manager every. You know, the managers change more than the players do. You know. You know, every sort of transfer window, they seem to transfer out their manager. This just seems to be how it is at Watford. But you know, they've got Nigel Pearson in. Nigel Pearson's something special. You know, he doesn't get enough praise for what he did at Leicester prior to Claudio Ranieri coming in and obviously winning the Premier League with Leicester City. I mean, that was very much, I'd say, at least 75% Nigel Pearson's team. You know. You know, he constructed that team. You look at the Jamie Vardys and the Kantés, etc. You know, they had a fantastic side there under Nigel Pearson. Brought them up from the Championship, and he's been out of the game for a while. He's come in at Watford and absolutely turned things around. I think, has he not won every game since he's been there, or he's drawn one and won the rest?
Yeah, I think so. He's done incredible things. Yeah,
it's been absolutely incredible. I mean, Watford were rock bottom, looking awful, and suddenly they're winning against top sides. I mean, they beat Manchester United the other day.
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah.
There we go. So they beat Manchester United. They've got a Bournemouth away at the Vitality Stadium, ripped them apart. So fair play. That's what. And Nigel Pearson, you know, that's exactly the sort of manager that Watford needed. So they made the right decision. I'd like to see him in the game for longer. Really, I'd like to see him stay around because I think he's a good manager to have in the Premier League. That's for sure. My other one. Mm-hmm. Sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say I can't really disagree with that. I think he's been doing a great job. Yeah.
Definitely. So my other ball in the sack, should we say, is Ralph Husselhoff, or I can't even pronounce his name. I mean, let's be honest, he was an absolute nobody.
Hasselhoff, David Hasselhoff.
No, it's not David Hasselhoff. It's Ralph
Hausenhüttel.
Hausenhüttel,
I think it's pronounced.
Hausenhüttel, Austrian. You know, just who is he? You know, nobody knew who this guy was because he was doing rubbish at Southampton. He was the top of the list for every single bookie for the sack race for the next manager to go, obviously. And he's just absolutely turned things around. I mean, Danny Ings is scoring week in, week out now. I think he's what is he? He's third in the top goal scorers, I think, after Rashford.
Right.
And this turnaround is unbelievable. It's 4 wins out of 5. The other one was a draw. That's an incredible run when you're doing terrible. And let's be honest, Southampton have not looked good for many seasons now. I mean, they have been in a relegation battle, from my memory, pretty much every season they've been in for the last, at least 3 or 4 seasons. Am I not right?
Sorry, mate, I totally zoned out there and just completely ignored what you were saying for the last 10 seconds.
Thanks, cheers.
Sorry.
Well, hopefully our listeners are listening. Hopefully I'm not that boring. Do I need to get a beer in my hand? Do you know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely spot on, mate. It was just I was trying to read
Bloody
comments
hell.
and stuff, and I'm not good at multitasking. But anyway, you were saying what?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, what I was saying is, from my recollection, Southampton have not looked good, not just this season, but for the last few seasons. I can't think of any other team that has just been scraping and desperate to stay in the Premier League again and again. You have the Mark Hughes shambles. You had I'm trying to think who else they've had. Since Pochettino left, they've struggled. They've really struggled to kind of be a solid team in the Premier League. Always ducking and diving. So well done to them. Well done. If they can continue to do well. I mean, it's a bit of a South Coast theme. Us being from the South Coast of the UK, Southampton right now compared to Bournemouth is the place to be.
Well, that traditionally was always the case, wasn't it? It's only been the last few years that Bournemouth have got anywhere up there. So it is. Yeah, you have to say Southampton. They're back up to 12 now, and like you said a little while ago, I thought they were doomed for relegation because just the way that they were declining. From the days of having the Graziano Pella and Morgan Schneiderlin and this team and all these great players that ended up going to Liverpool and stuff. They have declined quite significantly
Liverpool
since then.
feeder club. Virgil van Dijk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's loads of great players.
Okay, let's just quickly, if you can, your clubs to go down this season.
Okay, so my clubs to go down, relegation from the Premier League. I mean, I'm going to have to go for Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa are having shithouse mares, and they just don't look like they can really put a run together. I think they probably will get relegated. Norwich City, they had a good start to the Premier League campaign. I remember they beat Man City and they were flying high at one point, but since then it's been a complete nosedive and they are foot of the table right now. So Norwich City to me are going to go down. And then do you know what? I think Bournemouth will stay up. I think they'll save themselves, but looking at the teams around there, I would have said Watford, but Pearson's come in and he's taken them out of the relegation zone just now, and they're back onto winning ways.
They look solid at the moment. That's the thing. I think, and they've got the players as well. They've got, once they're organised properly, Watford are a strong side, and they've got, a good handful of players that they've had when they've looked good in the past. Yeah. They're not suffering from the kind of injuries that Bournemouth are. I mean, I do worry for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
For me, it's easy to say. I mean,
well, I hadn't finished, had I? I'd only given you two, so.
Go on.
And my other one is undecided, so.
Oh, great. Well, I'd go with the current bottom three. I know that's the easy answer.
Always.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth will get back up there, actually. Bournemouth are on 20 points, Villa are on 21.
Yeah, but who else to go down then? Who else to go down? Have you got the league?
I've got the league table here. So Watford are 17th, just above the relegation zone. West Ham are 16th, Burnley, Brighton, even though they're actually 3 points clear of the relegation zone at the moment. Brighton could easily slip up and bottle it, couldn't they? Newcastle.
I think Brighton are all right. Brighton are all right. To be honest, Burnley are one of those teams that I worry about as well. They've been struggling. Look how well they were doing a couple of seasons ago. I mean, they tend to lose a couple and then they manage to get a win here and there. But they haven't looked great this season for me. That defensive solidity that they used to have with Tarkowski and me. We're talking about Tarkowski for England, weren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, those days are long gone now. So yeah, Burnley for me. If Bournemouth are going to survive, I'd say Eddie Howe's former club, Burnley, to go down.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I reckon that's true. I mean, I think goal difference tells you a lot as well. Not just the points and where they are in the league, but goal difference. Because if you look, Norwich have been getting battered. They're on minus 23 goals. Bournemouth minus 15 getting battered. Aston Villa minus 15 getting battered. And then there's only 3 or 4 teams that have over minus 10 goal difference, if that makes any sense. So Watford minus 14, but that was all previously done before the last managers, before the new managers got there. Burnley are minus 13, which tells you a story. Newcastle are minus 13 and Southampton are minus 12. So I think that does actually show you, who's the whipping boys in the league in a lot of ways.
Well, fair play to the experienced managers in Roy Hodgson and Steve Bruce. I always singing my praises about these guys, but I just don't see those teams going down. I think Crystal Palace are top half of the table.
Yeah, bossing it now.
And Newcastle, Steve Bruce, he's doing all right. He's doing okay.
Yeah, doing fantastic. So Alex Rudd, I missed your super chat. Sorry, my friend. He comments, "I am cold and I'm a hen lying naked on the floor." Do you want to start singing then, Henry? Go on, mate.
And there's no super chat coming.
Yeah, Rod
there?
just super chatted you, mate, to sing. Rod just literally super chatted you to sing then.
How much was it?
$2.
$2.
Yeah, I think that's pretty damn good just for singing a bloody sentence.
But what? The request is a bit of Natalie and Bruliette.
Yeah.
How does it start? I'll give you one line, the first verse. What is it? I thought I saw a man come to life. There we go. That's
Keep
$2
going, mate.
worth.
That's actually pretty good.
No, don't say that.
Mate, that was pretty good, mate. Keep going, mate.
Pig's trying to tell me I'm good because he wants me to continue to
I
sing.
thought that was actually
It's not going to
pretty
happen. I can't remember the rest of the lyrics. And this is a shite microphone. You can't even. It's probably auto-tuning for me, isn't it? Makes me sound better than I am.
Awesome, mate. It's a bit of a quiet show today, lads and lasses,
lyrics.
but I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's in here today and tuning in for the live Pig of the Hen show. Do us a favour and smash a cheeky little like on it. But yeah, I mean, obviously we have we've not stuck to the Wednesday show, so I think a few people have forgotten that we're doing one today. So there's not that many people in here, but to the legends that are in here, thanks very much for stopping by. Sadek Rahman comments, "Sounds good, Hen." The Music Fiend says, "Sing it, Hen." Gungshi says, "The Hen is a bit of a crooner."
Thanks, guys. I mean, come on, don't make me too excited.
I'll tell you what, though, Henry. Like, of course, you know, Rick Waller or anything, but you of all the people, yeah. But you're not a bad singer, mate. You can hold a tune.
Well, I'm not terrible. I mean, I'd shout out to Rincon out there and his band. I mean, if you're ever looking for someone just to lay a bit of vocals down on a song, guest appearance from the Hen, I'm all yours.
He might take you up on that one, mate. Next time you're in Dallas, Texas, they might take you up on that.
Well, no, I mean, it's all digital these days.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't want a recording of you outside with the wind noise recording on your shitty freaking headphones, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
you might need to,
I'd obviously have to make some sort of different arrangement, wouldn't I? But, just as an example, when Tom DeLonge was still in Blink 182, or Blink 182, however you say it, the album Neighborhoods, which was their 2012 release, I believe, half the time, Mark and Tom were one of them was in the UK, one of them was in America, and they recorded, the majority of the album like that. So there we go. You don't need to be together.
True. That's how me and Rincon operate as well.
Just like the Pig and the Hen show.
Yeah, and when I did the Fire in My Rooms as well. Did you see my latest one, Ed, or did you just skip by that as well?
Oh, don't watch your crap.
No, I didn't think you did, Tosser. Absolute tosser. But no, fair enough. But when we do those Fire in My Rooms, obviously I send them over to Rincon in America and he just spices them together for me and does have some other magic that I'm unaware of. But yeah, so it can be done. Right, sorry, just right. Okay, let's get on to the next.
Did you just burp?
No, I just I don't know what. I don't really know what happened. I almost just choked on some water, mate.
Good.
Sounded like a burp though. Okay, right, we'll get on to the next segment of the show then. It's actually, we've been going for an hour and 22 minutes. What's the time there, Hen?
Don't know. It seems like we've been on a long time.
It seems like we've been going a long ass time. Okay, let's get this next segment out of the way then. It's over to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There we go, Henry. The floor is yours.
Okay, I could not be more happy that the UK are leaving the European Union. Brexit is happening. I mean, this isn't political, or obviously it is, but there is conspiracy behind this, because what has happened within the last week or so, within the European Union chamber, whatever you call it, where they all get together, the members of the European Parliament. What they used to have all the members sat there from their various countries, and they'd have their national flag, just a little flag in front of each member on their desk. So you could look around the room and you could see the Italians and the Germans and the British and the Spanish and whoever it is. Okay, that's now been banned. Okay, so now if you're going to sit in that room, big ass room as well, with all your European friends, you can't have your flag there anymore. And for me, it's absolutely disgusting. It's supposed to be a European Union. I mean, what's going to happen next? Are they going to change the name of the European Union? Because it doesn't sound very much of a union to me. A union is so the countries come together from their different countries. They got their flags out, and they're all friends, and they discuss things. But no, they want to water down national identity, national sovereignty, get rid of these flags. It's all about the EU, those stars in a circle with a blue background. And I'm so glad we're leaving this institution, because it's just another example of how disgustingly wrong it is that you've got bureaucrats that are making laws for the European Union. So any country that is within the EU falls under laws that are made by unelected bureaucrats. You don't have a vote on who's making these laws. These are just people that are kind of just shuffled in from the European Union itself. They do as they please, and they do what they want.
Hen, you still there, mate? Oh dear. Connection issue as. Are you there, Hen?
So
Yep.
I'm here. So spending a lot of cheers and champagne, etc. And it sickens me. And it's just one step closer to what the EU is a initial project by the globalist elites. And I'm going on about them again because that is the overriding agenda in terms of conspiracies. It's not a conspiracy, it's the truth. It's the truth. If you read between the lines, I'm just hoping that we're going to win the war. I'm hoping that we can continue to have our nation states of proud Germans, Italians, Americans, Chinese, whatever it is. I hope the EU crumbles. It's obviously a move to try to I guess they're scared that, those flags on the front of those desks are reminding people of where they're from and what their roots are. And they don't want people remembering that. That's what
they want a
It's
completely
horrible.
united Europe, don't they, really? I mean, it's kind of like, the United States, when they merged together. It's like, under one banner, if you like. It's kind of like that. You've still got your individual state countries or whatever, but it's just under one. I think that's what's going to happen. You're just going to have one country called Europe one day, you know what I mean?
I seriously hope that's not the case.
Well, I'm kind of with you, though, Henry. I do think that it's good in a way that the UK has got out of there, man. I mean, for various reasons. But aside from the fact that, I just like the idea of having like a sovereign nation which just governs ourselves. That sounds freaking amazing. Why have we got some, like you say, some fat bureaucrat over in Brussels dictating what we should do in our freaking country? That's bullshit.
Very much so. Very much so. So there we go. That's a bit of a short one today. Bit of a short one. It's just on the globalist.
I've got a hen counter, actually, Hen.
That's a true story.
I've got a hen counter, mate, this week. Right?
Go on then.
Okay, I just want to debunk.
Counter.
I just want to debunk what you said last week about the Aussie bushfires caused by a spate of arsonists, right? Because the brigade or department or whatever in Australia, and also the police department, the head of police or somebody out there came out and said that basically that was not the case for the starting of the fire. Some of them may have been started like that, but there was this whole thing that Alex Jones, this agenda and everything that they put out there, and there was all these fake bot accounts that were spreading this story on the internet that have been discovered in regards to the bushfires. So apparently they started from lightning strikes mainly, where after a very arid, dry, hot time, much hotter than on record recently. So There may have been some arsons starting it, but nowhere near the level of what 200 arsonists that you said that are on the current watch list by the police.
Okay, well, I was just going by what I'd read. I read it a couple of places. You know, I do what I can. You know, I'm not an expert. I don't know everything. Please, what I would do is I recommend you to go back to the previous show, look through the comment section. There was a chap out there that actually had to correct me on a couple of things. And I implore you to read what he said, because he actually lives out in Australia. He obviously seems to know what's going on more than I do. He said some of what I said was right and some wrong.
Okay.
So this is what I mean. You've got to go out there and you've got to find.
That's
the
it.
facts
You've got
for
to do all your
yourself.
research.
I'm never gonna. I even admitted on the show last week I'm a liar. We all are. You sometimes intentionally and sometimes not. But you know, when it comes to a sensitive subject such as the bushfires in Australia, I don't intentionally lie about anything.
No.
I just repeat.
Hey, that's not what you're not
I've
lying
read or
about it.
watched.
Yeah, you just heard something, which, to be fair, is an agenda that's being put out there by, you know, the likes of Alex Jones and all these fearmongers and stuff like that. So you know, you've heard it and you've taken it on board and you've repeated it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just wanted to sort of debunk it on the show.
You know, I won't have you smearing Alex Jones's name.
But he smears other people's names. So why can't I smear his name? Like, he literally, you know, the Sandy Hook fiasco, this incident where he's talking about, you know, he's blowing stuff out of proportion, mate. He's making it about. He's one of these climate change deniers. Do you know what I mean? All these climate change deniers. Of course, we're changing the climate. There's 7 billion of us on the planet. We're putting noxious gases into the freaking environment that was not being put into the environment before human industrialization, Henry. This is bullshit, Henry. You've triggered me now, mate. No, I'm not having this. Of course, we're changing the climate, even if it's just a marginal amount. And I know the climate has changed. I know the climate has changed multiple times over the course of human freaking life.
Levels like it's the end of the world. They're talking about the Ice Age back in the 70s. They were talking about this, they were talking about that. They're always coming up with these stories. None of it happened.
Just because there was an Ice Age 10,000 years ago doesn't mean that we're not affecting the freaking climate, my friend.
It's greener than it ever has been right now. Explain that.
Listen, what I can explain, I don't need a scientist to tell me that 7 billion humans, with all the waste products and all the energy production and everything that we put into the environment, all the nuclear waste, everything. I don't need a scientist to tell me that we're changing our climate, because I know we are, mate.
Sure, no, I don't disagree with the fact that we're putting plastics, we're putting crap into our oceans. You know, we're burning stuff into the air that's causing pollution.
The composition of the atmosphere, mate.
I mean, I live in a Chinese city. I can see the pollution. You know, I'm not blind. Of course, I know that we're having an adverse effect on our surroundings. What I don't like about this climate change, you know, what the activists say is that it's all centered on CO2. That's all they talk about, is rising CO2 levels, and the science behind it is questionable.
Okay, but you would have to admit that
if you look into it, it's questionable.
You would have to admit, though, that if we start burning all of these fossil fuels that were in the ground, and that is being put into our atmosphere, that has to change up the compositional makeup of the atmosphere to some degree, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, volcanic eruptions in the sea, you know, can cause changes in the world's makeup tenfold of what we do year upon year, and that's proven. So I don't know. Let's not go down this road. Let's not end the show on a bad note.
You're a climate change denier, Henry, and I am not. I am a climate change activist, if you like.
We will debate this again. I mean, I'm going to sort of have to love you and leave you, really. I mean, we basically finished the show, have we not?
Are we not taking any calls?
We're done now.
We're not taking any calls?
Not this evening. I've got work tomorrow. It's getting a bit late. We're going to have to save the calls, because I just don't fancy having an argument with Greta Thunberg this evening. How dare you?
In that case, I'm just gonna read this comment out from Olivia Alves. Thank you, Olivia, for stopping by. She says, "Hen, as someone who studied archaeology and history, I have to tell you we're affecting our climate, not only as individuals but also all the industries together." The Saint takes an opposition view and says the climate change thing is exaggerated, pig. The climate heats and cools over the century over the centuries always have. That's true. There's always been heating and cooling going on, but I'm not talking about the heating and cooling. I'm not talking about natural heating and cooling, though. I am talking about climate change. I'm not necessarily talking about global warming. I'm talking about changing the environment for the worse for human beings and future generations.
That's what I'm talking. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that, Pig. What I don't like is all these climate activists are pushing the agenda of global warming, climate change. Global warming is what they say climate change is. Rising temperatures so that the ice caps are melting so that we're all fucked. And, I don't know. I don't know if that's all down to CO2. I don't fully believe it. I'll be honest with you.
Well, it's certainly not just down to CO2. This is what makes me laugh when people are talking about CO2 levels rising and stuff. It's one gas. It's one element, or not an element. It's one. It's just one thing. There's loads of different chemicals and stuff being pumped into the environment, methane and all different kinds of gases, greenhouse gases, not just CO2. So yeah, people like to use this term CO2, this blanket phrase. I agree with you on that one. Then that pisses me off. But yeah, I think climate change has definitely happened. I think we need to try and control it as much as possible. The human population is only getting larger. We only seem to be creating more waste and more greenhouse gases. So I think we've got to look at it. Otherwise, it probably won't be our generation. It won't even be the next generation necessarily.
But
in 1,000 years' time,
Greta Thunberg is doing is futile. I mean, talking to the Western world about going all green and just changing everything forever. End of the day, come to where I'm living. I think we've had this conversation before. End of the day, China, India, just pumping out such ridiculous levels of pollution and horrible stuff. In comparison, that it's like And I know people say, well, you got to set the right example. Do you really think people over here are going to be like, they're being all green in the UK? They're already only at 2% of world CO2 levels or whatever it is. And now they're going to improve that to 1%. Oh, we should follow suit, shouldn't we, really? Shouldn't we?
Well, I mean, you should be doing the job of Greta Thunberg over there, Henry. You're a spokesman for the Western world. You should be the Greta Thunberg of China, my friend, because listen, China is damaging this planet more than anybody.
And I am speaking my mind right now on the Pig in the Hen. I'm going to have to go. Otherwise, you're going to keep me here.
Okay, I just want to read these couple of things out, and then we'll let you get on, Hen. Rincon says, I personally disagree with Hen. Over 10,000 climate scientists worldwide believe climate change is real. I will believe them over someone like Alex Jones. Very great comment.
A lot of them are paid. A lot of them are, you got to look into it. You've got to look into this. It's quite horrible if you actually discover the fact that the money that's going into these scientists is from a source that is proven to push a certain agenda. That's all I can say.
Gaz Newton says, surely more CO2 means more vegetation, which will then turn into more oxygen should we not just plant more trees. Yeah, but this is the problem. We're deforesting half the bloody planet, though. So at the same time, if you're adding more CO2 and you're deforesting the planet, that's a double whammy.
We need to stop doing that. Exactly. So can I go now?
Right, okay. Sorry, lads and lasses, there's no call-ins today. To be fair, we have kicked on to a pretty late time, actually.
It's been a decent show. We will do call-ins. But, what we're going to
I know the only reason Rincon's still in here is because he wanted to decimate you on the phone in. So sorry about that, Rinks. We'll save it for another time.
Start a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
We'll get the phone-ins. Maybe we'll talk a little bit less. We tend to have this tendency to yap. And we'll take it from there.
What's the time in Guangzhou, China?
It's quite late. I've got to be up early tomorrow, so
it's 32. It's 11:32 in Guangzhou, China. So fair play. It is very late. Anyway, we'll wrap it up now then. But thank you, Henry, for joining me tonight, mate. I know we nearly didn't do the show because you had a thunderstorm earlier on. So I respect you coming on very, very late to do the show. Of course, it wasn't a regularly scheduled program and on a Wednesday, but that will be back to normal. Will that be back to normal, Hen?
It will be next Wednesday. I'm off work. It's Chinese New Year, so I'm probably going to be back on the bevies. So watch out for that one. We might even be on Saturday, possibly. We'll see. Well, very much dependent on how Tottenham get on against Watford. If I'm in a good mood, we might just jump on because United don't have a game until obviously the Sunday against Liverpool. We could potentially do a little live show whilst the 3 p.m. Results are coming in live.
Potentially. Gung Shi says you need to back things up with sources and facts. Alex says, love you, Hen. He also says, like the video. Yeah, if you are tuned in, please do smash a cheeky little like on this podcast. Also, show it some love over on iTunes. If you want to leave it a 5-star review, that'd be awesome. We're also on soundcloud.com. And your podcast app, you can listen to the show, which I've put on there. Also, a little thing I'm doing for the Patreons now is I'm uploading every single audio podcast to Patreon, downloadable also, so you can listen to it on there if you are a patron of the channel. And that's just because on SoundCloud, without a pro account, there's only two episodes that are ever available at a time. So if you want to go back and listen to the older episodes, that's the way to do it. They'll all be on Patreon going forward from last week's episode. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there, but thank you to everybody for tuning in. Apologies, there's no phone in, and apologies for missing the show yesterday, but we will be back on the Wednesday. Liverpool coming up at the weekend. We didn't even really talk about that, but I'll definitely be seeing you guys for that one. Hopefully, me and Rincon might be around to do a phone-in show on the Sunday. We've been discussing this after the Liverpool game, possibly. Hopefully that will happen. Maybe you could get involved in that one, Hen. Probably a bit late for you, actually. Yeah, but yeah. Anything you just want to end on, Hen?
Dismissive. Well, we might be on Saturday if the pig wants me. I don't know. He's obviously got his new buddy Rincon, so maybe not.
Rinks. We'll test out Rinks. No, I'm joking. We'll get you on Saturday if we can, Hen. Hopefully I'll be around to be able to do it, yeah.
Brilliant. All right, love you, Rincon, really. Do you know what I mean? I'm not jealous of anything. I know you're not sleeping together.
Awesome. Rincon says, let's do Saturday. So he might be available for the Saturday show, actually, where,
Oh, there we go. Well, there we go. It could be a bit of a clusterfuck, yeah.
Because to be fair, I was thinking about this the other day, Rincon, I'm a smoker, right? And sometimes when I do a live show and I'm doing the watch along for 2.5 hours and then I could jump straight on and do a post-match reaction, it's like, I'm going to have a break in between that and doing the fan phone-ins. Otherwise, I'll literally be on edge. So, but we will do that in the future, of course.
So there we go. So yeah, you're just an act that comes on whilst the main act goes off and does what he needs to do. Yeah, well done, Rincon.
Right, okay, let's give a shout out to a few people at the end here. Archie, Gungshi, of course, thanks so much. People spamming the Phil Jones emoji and the pig and the hen emoji in the live chat. Shout out to the green channel members here who do support the channel and use those emojis in strong force. Thank you very much. Michael Fletcher, Archie, Gungshi, the Saint, Rincon, the Ruddinator, Michael Fletcher, Gaz Newton, Cameron Ketch. Who else is there? Anybody else? Sadek Rahman, thank you so much for tuning in. Mo Wadder, the Music Fiend, everybody else, thanks for stopping by on this week's edition then of the Pig and the Hen Show football podcast. Check it out on the on your podcast app. Go and subscribe to the audio version. Help us out by liking the video, sharing the video, and even come back after this video is finished, even if you've been in the live chat all day long, and comment again, because it definitely helps us out on the channel. Anyway, that's it from us. We'll see you next Wednesday, or possibly on Saturday as well, with Rincon in a cheeky little freeway, if you like. Nice one. Okay, we'll see you then.
Hurry up! I've been the pig. Come on, just do it.
Well, proper anti Henry today. Henry, so what's your thoughts on climate change denialists?
It's started raining again. It's started raining. Come on, just fucking get on with it.
All right, I've been the pig.
I've been the hen. Bye bye.
And you have been watching the Pig and the Hen Show. See you next week.
See you later.
Pig and the Hen. Pig and the the Hen. Pig and the Hen Show, Pig and the Hen Show, Pig and the Hen Show. Pig and the Hen Show, Pig and the Hen Show.
Boom Chanka, so that was the Pig and the Hen Show. Thank you just lastly at the end here to all the people that tuned in live today. I know it's a bit of a random show. It wasn't at the normal time, so appreciate anybody that was able to tune in and watch the show today. Like I say, the audio version will be available on SoundCloud and the podcast app and also on Patreon as well. Alex Rincon's just put a link in the live chat, which you can check out if you're that way inclined. Also, shout out to all these patrons at the end here. Alex Rudd, Alex Rincon, E. Kalul, Matt Norton, and these these guys, they do support the channel on Patreon. It's just to end credits to say thank you for that. Lucinda Green, Robbo, Liam White, Gungshi, Jarvis Cocker, Pete Miller. I wonder if that's the actual Jarvis Cocker, by the way. Do you know what I mean? Wallace Montcroy Stewart and Marshall Gralla. All you guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And all you legends at the end here, you have yourselves a great day. Apparently I missed Gungshi's last super chat. Sorry about that one, my friend. I can't see the message, what's going on, but thank you, Gungshi. Special shout out to Gungshi. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Have a great week.